Hey guys, what's going on? AngryLarry here with some GNWC breaking news. WWE.com announces that Smackdown will start to air live on Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the USA Network starting July 19th. They quoted Vince McMahon as saying, WWE's flagship programs will both leverage the incredible depth of our talent roster, distinct storylines, and the unpredictable nature of live TV. This move will undoubtedly build more excitement and deepen engagement with our fans around the world. The article on WWE.com also mentions an inevitable superstar draft. No mention of splitting the titles, creating new ones, but I would guess one brand would get the Intercontinental title, the other would get the US title, and the World's Champion, the Women's Champion, and the Tag Team Champions will be split and shared between the two, with maybe one of the shows featuring number one contender style matches for the upcoming pay-per-views and such. Especially for the women's and the tag team titles, I think that will be that would be good. Now, it's interesting that the last hour of SmackDown that will air live on USA will run against the first hour of TNA on Pop TV. Now, this probably will not influence WWE's ratings, let's be honest. But TNA ratings, at least the live ratings, will probably go down. DVR numbers may go up, though, and I'm not too sure exactly how they account for that. But I think bottom line is both programs will not be affected whatsoever. SmackDown numbers will probably go up just because they're live to begin with. And if anything, well, if there's going to be a brand split, there probably won't be a cliffhanger on Raw to lead into SmackDown. But having two back-to-back shows on two consecutive days will probably sustain a level of interest among the fans. So ratings will probably go up based on a combination of that and the combination of it being live. Now, the show debuts as the go-home show before the next pay-per-view, well, the pay-per-view after, called Battleground. Now, they've had Battleground before, but if you want to read into the title a little bit, and if you want to get all hyped up on the whole hot movie in the cinemas, Marvel Captain America Civil War, it's probably going to be a situation where one of Stephanie and Shane get Raw, the other gets SmackDown, and Battleground is kind of like the Civil War confrontation between the two, where maybe the first live SmackDown is not a brand split, but the results stemming from Battleground and the preceding shows afterwards would have the brand split and the inevitable draft, so to speak. Maybe Shane versus Stephanie by proxy happens at Battleground. So look for increasing tension between the two, between now and the debut of the live SmackDown show. Maybe even the live SmackDown show and the announcement of it is the fuel for the fire in the storyline, where they either take an interest from one show to the other, or they get increasingly competitive to see who is going to control Monday Night Raw, and then SmackDown's treated as like the second prize. And I hope that doesn't happen, but things I would like to see. And we'll talk about this more on the GNWC weekly podcast with the Duke and myself that will upload later on this week. I would like to see a second world title again, or at least a Raw and a SmackDown champion, whatever you want to call them, or call their titles. There's too many guys who would be top stars that never will be given a chance in the current format. It could cater to both the casual and the IWC, and give guys a decent shot, and not only grabbing that brass ring they always talk about, but having an opportunity and a stage to do something with it. Now, Cody Rhodes recently asked for his release and was granted it. He was quoted as saying that he's grabbed the brass ring a number of times, but there was never an opportunity, and he never had the forum to do anything with it. So a second live show, a second title, and now all of a sudden you can throw so many more names into the hat, and it makes sense, honestly, because you have guys like Owens, Styles, Ziggler, Cesaro. I'll even throw Rusev in there, who could go over huge as a world champion. But that means, in the current situation, dethroning Roman Reigns, or be it Seth Rollins or John Cena, which doesn't seem like realistic booking given the scope of how and the history of how WWE has booked their world champion since it went down to one title again. It's only been the top of the top guys, and you can exclude Daniel Bryan from that list too, but Daniel Bryan was a star. He was over. He was that rare guy, maybe, that broke the mold. But in the history, you don't have multiple guys breaking the mold in one sort of era. There's only been really one, maybe two. And as long as you have top guys like Reigns and, like I said, Cena and Rollins, guys like Cesaro probably never have the world title. A second belt. Now he can run with a world title, and maybe it elevates his career to the point where he becomes a world champion. I think that happened with CM Punk. CM Punk was world heavyweight champion. He got the crowd behind him. Crowd started liking him, liking the spot he was in. And then he became their quote-unquote main champion at one point, and it worked. And I think it's a result, not, he's a great wrestler, but I think it's a result of the format and the form he was given. The way he became world champion, but the minor world champion, and then ran with it, and then it went over, and he was able to become the WWE heavyweight champion. And it's a formula that works and has worked in the past. You could also make a case for bringing back the big, quote-unquote, former champions, or big should be quote-unquote, I guess, former champions, and make them somewhat relevant again. And this is going to go against everyone's popular opinion. But you have guys like Sheamus, The Big Show, Kane, Mark Henry, Randy Orton, Alberto Del Rio. You probably don't want to see most of these guys, if any of them, champions again, or even on your TV. And me either. But with a proper storyline and rotating them in and out of the title picture, it could be entertaining TV. Because, to be honest, if you're rooting against somebody, you're participating like the fan they want you to be, and the fan you want to be. It's a rooting interest sport. There's a good guy, there's a bad guy. And just like UFC and boxing, or any sport competition that involves teams, you like people, you hate people, and you have a rooting interest, and that's what is best for business. Let's just use the cliche. Let's throw as many cliches in here as we can. But it also creates an opportunity for certain titles to get passed around again, and give more guys an opportunity to show the WWE universe what they're made of. Title change could even happen on live TV again. Would you expect anything less than a title change happening on the first live Smackdown? It's a show before a pay-per-view, so maybe not. But whenever they have like special events and anniversaries and special shows, you kind of get a little, especially only when they're live, you get the little boost of an anything can happen feeling when Roman Reigns beats Sheamus on the first Raw of the year and stuff like that. But Roman Reigns did lose the title on Raw, and Kalisto won the U.S. title a couple times on TV, SmackDown and Raw. So it has happened this year, and it can happen again. And you can also see Randy Orton coming out of nowhere and beating Sheamus for a title on SmackDown, especially if it's live. We're in a new era. They expect us to expect the unexpected. So let's get some TV that backs up that implied motto is something that I'm thinking. And with 2 titles or multiple titles and the brand split and 2 live TV shows, it could happen, and it probably should happen for the sake of ratings and stuff. You want to create that must-see TV buzz. You know, back when the ratings were the best in the Monday Night Wars era, people tuned in because they wanted to know what happened next. If anybody jumped ship, and then who would be champion, will Stone Cold stun Vince McMahon? And on the other side, will anyone dethrone Hollywood Hogan or Goldberg streak? So there was that must-see TV feeling because of the competition that they had at the time, which they won't have this time, even though they're going head-to-head with TNA. It won't be there. But at the same time, the storylines also dictated it while the ratings were there. So maybe they can capitalize with the second live TV show and really create some good storylines and really make you want to not miss anything that happens thereafter. I would also like to see, and it's a pet peeve of mine if you've ever been listening, I want to see an increase in the number of title matches we get on pay-per-views where the participants do not fight 3 weeks for the whole 3 weeks prior to the pay-per-view in any sort of match. Tag team, singles, three-way, four-way, doesn't matter. Once I've seen the match several times over leading up to the pay-per-view, in any form, I really don't care about the pay-per-view match. It's not special to me. With 2 TV shows and maybe titles shared between the brands, on one show you can have the champion gloating and doing promos for the upcoming match. On the other show you can have the matches that will result in the number one contender. And maybe on the go-home shows that they have a face-to-face because the champion would be split between the 2 brands. But an actual in-ring confrontation, or match, I should say, only happens on the pay-per-view and doesn't happen in any sort of form on either show until then, except for face-to-face stare-downs, contract signings, all that. I mean, that's part of the gig, so that stuff stays. But no more tag team matches, 4-way matches, or anything like that. It'd be nice. I'd also really, I guess, speaking of competition, I guess I would like to see TNA move to Thursday nights. I don't want to see it fail. I think more wrestling is good for the wrestlers involved, especially. But, it's not hurting anybody to be on TV. So if it moves to Thursday, it's actually helping wrestling fans. They don't have to divide their time or tape it and worry about when they're going to watch it thereafter or have it be spoiled for them if they're trying to avoid spoilers, but still have people they know who watch it, if they have to watch it in time. I think it'd be good. I don't want to see them go head to head and feel like they have to compete now, because they've done that once before, and that really put them in the trouble they're in still financially, trying to go live against Monday Night Raw and having Hogan and Flair and all that talent employed back in 2010, I think it was. So I don't want to see that. I'd rather see them move to Thursday nights just for the fans, so they can have wrestling every day of the week. It'd be nice. What I don't want to see for the WWE though is I don't want to see a lot of non-title inter-brand matches. If you're going to segment them and separate the rosters, leave them separated. Save the inter-brand matches for the special occasions like major pay-per-views, Survivor Series matches, the Royal Rumble match, of course, WrestleMania, and War Games, the match beyond. Let's bring that back. Raw versus Smackdown in a cage. That'd be nice. I think they are bringing back War Games. It's popping up a lot on the WWE Network, and I think it's on the short list of possible 2016 DVDs for the second half of the year. So that is not something I just made up. That is something I've been reading into based on it coming up, being brought up on lists and on the network itself. So this is probably the best opportunity to do it. A War Games match, Team Shane versus Team Stephanie, or Team Raw versus Team Smackdown, and have it on a pay-per-view. I think, well, I don't know if SummerSlam's too soon because it's going to start in July. So August is after it. That's the smartest thing I've ever said. But 1 month build up for War Games, maybe not enough time. Maybe a TLC. It's fitting, or War Games Hell in a Cell, the match beyond. That would be ridiculous. But even so, it's just speculation now. It'd be nice to have that. For more on this, check out the GNWC weekly show. I'm sure Duke's going to have a bunch of comments. I'll have more comments, probably more organized comments by then, and points I really want to drive home in depth. But this is just basically scratching the surface. Again, it's coming from WWE.com, not a dirt sheet, not a rag website. It's coming from the source. Smackdown Live, Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, starting July 19th. For the Duke, this is Angry Larry, and I'm begging you to get off my computer already.